What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Romance Dawn. Chapters 1179 and 180 didn't just give us a reveal, they shattered a mystery that's been looming over the story for years. For the first time ever, we didn't just hear about Aimu. We saw him move. We saw him act. We saw him descend from the empty throne itself. And that moment, it should have felt like the arrival of a god. But instead, something felt off. Because while Imu stood there, calm and overwhelming, the five elders, the Gorosei, were panicking. Not shocked, not confused. Panicking. And that raises a question that changes everything. Why would the highest authority in the world fear the movement of their own king? Today, we're breaking down a theory that connects everything. The Op no Mi, the Eternal Youth Surgery, the national treasure of Mary Geoise, and the possibility that Imu's immortality isn't absolute. It's conditional. It's not a gift. It's a system. Let's start with what we think we know. The Eternal Youth Surgery, a legendary ability of the Op no Mi said to grant someone immortality at the cost of the user's life. Simple, right? One life traded for another that never ends. But here's the problem. Nothing about Law's fruit is ever that simple. Every ability he has operates within a room, a controlled space, a domain, a field where the laws of reality bend to his will. He doesn't just heal people, he reconstructs them inside a boundary. He doesn't just cut, he separates existence itself, but only within that space. So why would the ultimate ability of this fruit be the only one that ignores that rule? What if the Eternal Youth Surgery doesn't create an immortal person, but instead creates an immortal environment? Think about it. 800 years ago, during the Void Century, there was likely a user of the Op no Mi far more experienced than Law. Someone who understood the fruit at its absolute peak. Now imagine that user didn't just perform surgery, they created something permanent. A room that never disappears. A room that never collapses. A room that exists outside the normal flow of time. An eternal room. And inside that room, the rules are different. Aging stops, damage doesn't stick, death doesn't function the way it should. And at the center of that room sits Imu, not just a ruler, but the anchor of the system itself. But systems always have limits, because if immortality only exists inside the room, then stepping outside of it means stepping back into reality. Section 2. Now let's push this even further. Because if this eternal room exists, it needs power. It needs something to sustain it for 800 years. And this is where the cost of the surgery becomes much darker. We've always been told the user dies. But what if they don't just die? What if they're used? Not as a sacrifice, but as a power source. A soul converted into fuel. A consciousness stretched across time to keep the room alive. A perpetual battery. That would mean Imu's immortality isn't self-sustaining. It's being maintained, powered, held together by something or someone from the Void Century. And suddenly, immortality doesn't sound like freedom anymore. It sounds like a cage built on top of another person's existence. And if that's true, then destroying Imu isn't just about strength. It's about disconnecting the system. Now let's bring in Doflamingo, because his obsession with the Op no Mi was never random. He knew something most people don't. He mentioned the national treasure of Mary Geoise, a secret so dangerous that knowing it alone could shake the world. But what if that treasure isn't an object? What if it's the core of the eternal room? The mainframe. The heart of the system that keeps Aimu alive. Doflamingo didn't just want immortality, he wanted control. Because here's the key detail. Law's fruit doesn't just create rooms, it allows him to manipulate everything inside them. Souls, bodies, positions, identity itself. If Doflamingo got that power, he wouldn't need to destroy Imu. He could replace him, swap his soul into whatever sits at the center of that system, take over the eternal room, become the new god without ever earning it. That's why the fruit is priceless, because it doesn't just grant power, it grants access. Section 4, the Mother Flame and Imu's greatest risk. Host, now let's go back to the present. Imu has left Mary Geoise. That alone should be impossible, unless something changed. Enter the Mother Flame. An energy source so powerful it can erase entire islands. But what if its true purpose isn't destruction? What if it's expansion? If the Eternal Room needs energy to exist, then the Mother Flame could be amplifying it, extending its range, allowing Imu to carry a piece of that immortality field with him, like a god stepping outside his temple for the first time. But here's the problem. A portable system is never as stable as a fixed one, and that explains the Gorosei's fear. Because right now, Imu is exposed, not fully, but more than he's been in 800 years. He's testing the limits. And if those limits break, then for the first time in centuries, Imu can be killed. And this brings us to Trafalgar Law. Because if this theory is true, he's not just a side character in the final saga, he's the countermeasure. The only person alive who can interact with the system that created Aimu. His awakened abilities, R-Room, K-Room, already show that he can affect things without a visible boundary. He can bypass defenses, silence space itself. Now imagine that applied to the Eternal Room. Law doesn't need to overpower Aimu, he just needs to interfere with the field, disrupt the connection, sever the energy source, perform a reversal surgery. Not to grant life, but to take immortality away. And in that moment, Imu wouldn't be a god anymore, just a man who's been alive far longer than he was ever meant to be. Outro. Host, so let's bring it all together. Imu's immortality might not be absolute. It might be tied to a place, a system, an eternal room anchored in Mary Geoise. The national treasure could be the core that sustains it. The mother flame could be expanding it. And Law might be the only one who can shut it down. So now the question is Imu truly immortal? Or has he just been standing in the right place for 800 years? Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. This is Romance Dawn. And the dawn? It's getting closer than ever. Peace. If you